couple of weeks. And as we do so again today, Lord, as we bring this series to a close, we pray, Lord God, that you would spark something in each one of our spirits, that we'd be able to increase our level of faith and to see you do what you want to do, what you're longing to do in us and what you're longing to do through us, through the area of our finances today, in Jesus' name. Amen. You can be seated. Thank you, guys. Wonderful. Had a good time the last few weeks, haven't we? Brilliant messages. Pastor Paul talking about our spiritual financial plan. Last week, Pastor Christian, brilliant message on handling our money and how our money can be in competition with God, and how we can work that all through. And Donna's not the only person who thinks that we live in a material world. The boy with the cold hard cash is always Mr. Right. We do live in a material world, don't we? In fact, we can only interact with all of our world through our physical bodies. What we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, and what we do, what we say, what we speak, how we interact with the world, what we do with our fingers on our touch screens and our computers. We interact with the world through our physical bodies. And often that involves the use of money. And as somebody once said some time ago, we buy things that we don't want with money we don't have in order to impress people that we don't like. Sometimes that's the case. But I want to tell you that God is our Father. We've just been singing that. His plans are to prosper us. He's interested in every little detail of our lives. Every little detail. He's interested in making sure we got food in our mouths, making sure we got petrol in our car, making sure we got shoes on it. Yeah, all the stuff that makes up life, God is interested in, and He's concerned. He's our Father, and He provides. Now I've got a few things up here. The next screen has got a bit of a title, Being a Faithful Servant. That's really what we're all about, or being a faithful steward of the things that God has given us. And the next slide, the first point is God provides. And God has provided in abundance. There's more stuff on this planet than we could ever hope to use. All 7 point whatever billion of us. There's more stuff on this. There's actually more wealth in the world now than there ever has been. It's probably more unequally distributed than it has been too, but there's actually more stuff around. People have created, they've used the physical resources that God has provided, and we've built on that and increased it and developed it, and we can do so much more stuff than we ever could do. God has promised to provide for our needs. And our part is simply to receive what He gives us gratefully. The Bible talks a lot about the poor. He's got a heart for the poor. People who are struggling, financially struggling in all sorts of areas, God's got a heart for the poor. And numerous times through the scriptures you'll see how God reaches out and talks about how they're blessed and all this sort of stuff. But I had a look through the Bible, and nowhere does God talk about poverty in a positive light. He's got a heart for the poor, but He doesn't like poverty. He's got a heart for the poor because He wants to release them from poverty so they can enjoy His abundance. There's all sorts of reasons why people are poor. Sometimes it's simply because of our circumstances. We're born in the wrong country, we chose the wrong parents, and we chose the wrong environment, and we just, nothing to do with us, it's just an accident of life. But however, there are some times where we become poor through our own fault. Few verses in Proverbs 2, which is, I don't have notes up for this, but I've got it here. A little sleep, a little slumber, and poverty will come upon you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed man. If we're lazy and slack, we'll become poor. Another one in Proverbs 13:8. He who ignores discipline comes to poverty and shame. You ignore discipline, you come to poverty and shame. There's an area where we have to actually do stuff in order to achieve in our lives. Proverbs 28:19, he who works his land will have abundant food, but the one who chases fantasies will have his fill of poverty. And finally, Proverbs 30, give me neither poverty nor riches, give me only my daily bread, otherwise I may have too much and disown you and say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal and so dishonour the name of my God. Instructive words from the book of Proverbs. And not always are we poor because of our own laziness or our lack of discipline or whatever. Sometimes it's our circumstances. But God wants to break us out of that. If we have got those habits, God wants us to change them. If we are in those straitened circumstances, God wants to lift it out of that. I mean, the only new clothes I ever had when I was a kid were ones that my grandmother bought, because she worked in a clothes shop. We struggled a bit when I was a kid, but God's good. Now we got back here, God's provision. People of Israel coming out of Egypt, they had plenty in the land of Egypt. However, the problem was that they were slaves. God breaks them out miraculously out of Egypt in all sorts of incredible ways, and they're in the desert. And you know what life's like in the desert? Not too many fruit trees you can go. There's no apple trees you can go and pick an apple to eat. There's no animals running around. It's a desert because there's not much life there. And so inevitably the people grumbled. But God miraculously provided. He provided manna. They call it manna because they had no idea what it was. That's just the Hebrew word means, what is it? What is it? But they ate it. Every morning there was enough there for them to eat. And as it said, the Lord says to Moses, I'm going to rain down bread from heaven for you, the people that go out each day and gather enough for the day. What's the next slide say? At the end of that time, they reflected. And God says, you think about the 40 years that you were in the desert. Your clothes didn't wear out, your feet didn't swell those entire 40 years. God protected those people and provided for those people, however many millions of them that there were, through that entire time in a miraculous way. Then he says, with that last verse there, go back. Yes, you may say to yourself, when you're sitting in the land and everything's going well for you, you might say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. But remember, it is the Lord your God who gives you the ability to produce wealth. We don't have anything that we haven't received from somewhere else. Your genes came from your parents. Your skills came from... You might have worked with that stuff and you might have developed the things that you were given, but everything that we're innately given, everything that we're born with, we came from somewhere else. And we need to recognise that. And God, ultimately, is the provider. He has made you in a unique way and He wants to use you in a unique way. So, whatever God's given us, we need to receive with gratitude. Might be the same as somebody else. We might look at the person next to us and think, if only I had their good looks. Yeah. If only I had their money. If only. That's a very fruitless exercise. We need to look at what God has put, what's in our hand, what has God given to us. Look at what we have, not what we don't have. Because you look at the other person, and you might not have their blessings, but you don't have their problems either. Somebody said the grass on the other side of the fence might be greener, but it's still got to be mowed. Okay. And just because there's no money in your purse or your wallet doesn't mean that you're poor. Queen Elizabeth II carries around in her handbag one crisply folded £5 note, which she dutifully puts in the collection plate at church on Sunday. That's the only money she carries with her, is a £5 note. Do you think Queen Elizabeth II is poor? She is definitely not poor. Just because you don't have money in your purse or your wallet doesn't mean you're poor. Well, sometimes I don't have any. Go to the hole in the wall. It gives me money. It's amazing. So, just because we don't have it right with us here now doesn't mean that there's not a source of supply. God is our Father. My daughters will come to me, or they'll phone me, and they'll say, "Hey Dad," and I'll say, "Yes dear, how much do you want?" Okay. God our Father is exactly the same. He knows what we need, and He does not ever lack what we need. He always has exactly what we need. We might not get what we want, but He will always provide what we need. When I was a small boy, well, not that small, when I was a teenager, my friend John lived on an orchard, and I would go work in the orchard sometimes, and shifting the hoses around on the fruit trees, and well, so it usually was a summer job, and it was hot. This is in Melbourne, out from Melbourne, and they had a cool room, and I could go in that cool room anytime I needed to. And inside that cool room, it was probably not quite as tall as this building is, but a metre or two less. They had these huge bins, that like that, and probably about this high, and each of those bins was full of apples. And they were stacked up like 5 or 6 high, these bins of apples. And sometimes the cool room was full of these things. If I wanted an apple, I could go in and have an apple. Nothing like when it's 30 degrees outside, you go into a room that's almost at zero and eat an apple. It's fresh and juicy and crunchy. You're salivating everywhere as I talk. There's an abundance in the orchard. I didn't need to go in there and stuff myself silly with apples, because there's one there whenever I wanted it. Our Heavenly Father's like that. He's got an abundance. We don't have to accumulate and hoard, because any time we need, there's always a supply. Yes. And it says in Philippians, my God will meet how many of our needs? All of our needs, according to His glorious riches in Christ Jesus. He meets our physiological needs. He's provided air. We can breathe. There's water. There's food. There's protection. There's shelter. Safety. He's provided relationships for us. We've got the body of Christ. We've got our families. All those things. He's provided purpose for us. As human beings, we need to have some purpose to live. God has provided all our needs according to His riches in Christ Jesus. And so our job is simply to respond to our Father with gratitude and say, thank you, Lord Jesus. We praise you for what you've done. Now, second thing is God's principle of tithing. Tithing is, on God's part, His intention for tithing is to provide the finance for ministry. And our part of that is simply to respond to what God has already provided for us. He's provided in abundance, and the purpose of tithing is for us to respond, a vehicle for us to respond with generosity to what God has already done. Everything we've got, we've received, I said before. All our gifts, our health, our abilities, everything. And the ability to produce wealth that God has given to us. And we respond with generosity. So, there's a couple of scriptures here. In Leviticus it says that a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. This is Old Testament. It's an Old Testament law. Secondly, there in Chronicles, he ordered the people living in Jerusalem to give the portion due to the priests and Levites so that they